Farewell address at Chicago. It involves presidential farewell speech given by Barack Obama in Chicago on 10th January 2017 at 9 p.m. during night time. Barack Obama began his speech thanking all Americans. He reveals that his conversation with them had always been honest. They inspired him to be a better president and to be a better man. He tells that he had witnessed the power of faith in the ordinary people and realized that change can happen when they get involved and demand change, and he still believes it, even after 8 years of his presidency. He agrees that the instrument of democracy can unite all the people. He says that it is a strong belief that all are created equal and are provided by some basic qualities which is impossible to remove, sell, or transfer, and which are used for living their life, enjoying freedom, and for getting happiness. These rights have never been put into plan of action or order into effect through the instrument of our democracy, which can form a more perfect union. The work of democracy has always been hard, marked by heated argument or controversy, and sometimes bloody. So, after going 2 steps forward, we take 1 step back. He urges all Americans to unite and help the government to meet the still lingering challenges. He highlights that our youth and drive, our diversity and openness, our boundless capacity for risk and reinvention mean that the future should be ours. Obama says that potential of the people will be realized only if our democracy works and politics reflects the decency of our people. We need to restore the sense of common purpose, keeping aside party affiliation or particular interest. A shrinking world, growing inequality, demographic change, and the spectre of terrorism. These forces haven't just tested our security and prosperity, but our democracy as well. And how we meet these challenges to our democracy will determine our ability to educate our kids and create good jobs and protect our homeland. Obama warns them that democracy won't work if every American citizen doesn't have a level playing field in economic opportunity. He assures them that it was the duty of the government to make people's life better, not worse. He reasons that the economy doesn't work well or grow as fast when a few people prosper at the expense of a growing middle class. Hence, severe economic inequality will erode people's faith in democracy. While the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, the people at the lower end of the economic spectrum will feel neglected and begin to believe that government is on the side of the rich and powerful. This will lead to the selfish belief and polarization in America's politics. Obama tells them that these problems can't be solved quickly. He agrees that trade should be fair and not just free, but the next wave of economic dislocation will come from the relentless pace of automation that makes many good middle class jobs obsolete. Obama now focuses on the possible solutions for the economic disparity among Americans. He feels that there is a strong need to forge a new social contract that ensures child education, encourage workers to unionize for better wages, upgrade social safety net, tax reforms that make big corporations and wealthy people contribute to society. So it is essential for all Americans to unite and put their collective mind to think of better ways to achieve those goals and to never compromise and be complacent about the goals themselves. Obama stresses on the urgent need to create opportunity for all people because the disaffection and the division that has stalled America's progress will only sharpen over the years. He considers racism as a threat to our democracy which bring division in our society. So, we must support laws against discrimination in hiring, in housing, in education, and the criminal justice system. But laws alone won't be enough. Hearts must change. As the people value hard work and family, same way they love their country also. Obama feels that none of this is easy because people can't easily change their attitude about racially different people. For too many of us, it becomes safer to retreat into our own bubbles, surrounded by people who look like us and share the same political outlook and never challenge our assumptions. The rise of naked partiality, increasing economic and regional stratification, the splintering of our media into a channel for every taste, all this makes this great sorting seem natural, even inevitable. And increasingly, we become so secure in our bubbles that we accept only information that fits our opinions instead of basing on opinions on the evidence that's out there. Obama now focuses on next threat to American democracy, that is deterioration of politics. Politics is a battle of ideas in the course of a healthy debate. If so, there will be a healthy discussions and exchange of ideas among the politicians, where goals are set and methods to reach those goals are framed. But unfortunately, nowadays, common ground and compromise in political debate is impossible. This is because there is no common baseline of facts and a willingness to think innovatively and scientifically among the politicians. Obama thinks that politicians makes politics dispiriting. He asks his fellow American citizens if it is correct to excuse ethnical lapses in our own party but pawns when the other party does the same thing. He feels that the selective sorting of facts is not only dishonest but also self defeating. It affects the process of democracy and progress of the nation. Obama dwells on the challenge of climate change that is threatening the life of all living beings on this planet. He warns his fellow Americans that if they do not press the government to take bolder action, children won't have time to debate about climate change. They will be busy dealing with its effects, such as environmental disasters, economic disruptions, and millions of climate climate refugees seeking sanctuary in America. Obama again dwell on the peril to democracy in America. The post World War second order is now being challenged. The peril it poses to our democracy is more far reaching than a car bomb or missile it represents. It represents the fear of change, the fear of people who look or speak or pray differently, contempt for the rule of law that holds leaders accountable, and intolerance of dissent and free thought, a belief that the sword or the gun or the bomb or propaganda machine is the ultimate arbiter of what's true and what's right. Obama says that he thinks protecting American way of life requires more than their military. It requires Americans to have a strong psychological setup. Fear is not good to democracy, so all of them need to be vigilant against external aggression. He urges them to guard against weakening of values that make them as they are. He explains them that the fight against extremism and intolerance and sectarianism is also a part of the fight against authoritarianism and nationalist aggression. He warns them that there is also a threat of civil war and war between nations if the scope of freedom and respect for rule of law diminishes. He urges them to be vigilant and to be not afraid. Obama then states that he is making a final point and warns his fellow Americans that their democracy is threatened because they have taken it for granted. When voting rates are some of the lowest among advanced democracies, we should make it easier, not harder, to vote. When trust in our institution is low, we should reduce the corrosive influence of money in our politics and insist on principles of transparency and ethics in public service. Obama praises the Constitution of America by saying that it is a remarkable and beautiful gift, but now it became a piece of parchment, powerless on its own. He urges them to be sensible and judicious which choose people to lead them, and even with all the difference in opinion among Americans, they share the same proud title citizen. Democracy needs you not just when there is an election, not just when your own narrow interest is at stake, but over the full span of lifetime. Show up, dive in, persevere. Lastly, he says, I'm asking you to believe not in my ability to bring about change, but in yours. Yes, we can.